once again for the renegade master. Back 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 once again for the renegade master.
We are back for All That Is Love Is Blind Season 4, and now we are on episode, what I hear you say, 11. So what we'll do is do a quick recap. Blah 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 blah. So episode 11, I should have said, and we'll do a quick recap from episode 10, which is, we know that everything ended up in a freaking shit show between Jackie and Marshall. The less said about that, the better. But we know that Jackie is a very toxic person. Now we will quickly skip on to Bliss and Zach, because we know that Zach had met Bliss's mother and sisters, and it was an emotional time, and it actually went really well. And then Bliss and Zach met Bliss's father, which was kind of quite awkward, to be fair. And I would say, in my opinion, Bliss's dad was really rude towards Zach and towards Bliss at the end of that meeting. Then we get Chelsea and Kwame, where Chelsea takes Kwame to meet her family. I still think that meeting was kind of awkward as well. It wasn't natural, it wasn't comfortable, because as I said before, Chelsea had to literally jump in and give a list of Kwame's attributes, and then when Kwame was talking to her mum, yeah, that was just a different story altogether, because that was very, very, very awkward. With Brett and Tiffany, we know that Tiffany was getting upset and stressing over the wedding itself and over the getting things prepared for the wedding, and Brett was able to comfort her and walk her through that. Michael and Paul made their own wedding rings. Now, with things like this, kind of like with Chelsea and Kwame with the engagement shoot, I'm kind of like, why are you doing these things and you don't even know if this person is going to say yes to you? That's my number one thing. You're going out of your way to do all these nice things, and they are nice things, don't get me wrong, they are nice things and things you want to fulfill. But you're doing it with a person who's in essence a kind of a stranger. You don't know at the end of all of this if they're going to actually say I do at the end of all of it. So are you kind of preempting stuff or doing it for no reason at all? But I would say you guys let me know and tell me what you think. Put it all in the comments and I will answer back. Right, so now with episode 11, we're moving to Chelsea and Kwame, basically speaking about individually their experiences and stuff like that. We know that Kwame is talking about when it comes to his mum, they were having that conversation in regards to her not being able to take his last name after they're married until they've met the mum and the mum's been okay with it, and then she can take his last name. With me, that couldn't fly at all. That definitely couldn't fly at all. But I am getting the feeling that Kwame is using his mum, basically in this situation with his mum, as an excuse in which to use if he says, I don't, at the altar, basically, because he's making this the big bone of contention between them. And I think that's why that then leads to Chelsea keep asking him if he's going to say yes, even without his mum being there or without her consent in that sense. Kwame's talked about his dad not knowing and his mum not knowing, and in particular his mum not being happy about the path that he's taken. And as I've said before, as I'll say again, I don't understand the mindset of people when they go in for these shows knowing full well what the outcome or the end outcome is possibly going to be, that you are going to be meeting a stranger, you are going to see if Love Is Blind, and you are, if they say I do, going to get engaged to them. You should be telling your people this. Once you get accepted onto the show, you should at least be giving them a heads up that this is what they may expect. Don't do it, then go on the show, then bring all of this to the forefront for your then partner to then have to worry about any possible outcomes or solutions to this, because it's not fair on them to have to take that up as well. I do get the feeling that from seeing Chelsea and Kwame together and from when they've talking, especially from the last episode to now, that Kwame is kind of talking his way out of it. Chelsea's being as positive as all get out and trying to show him the positives, but I think deep down she kind of can feel Kwame's hesitation, but she doesn't want to speak on it because I don't think she'd want to speak it into existence, because then she will have to come to that realisation that maybe, just maybe, he doesn't really want to be with her. With Bliss and Zach, as we know, there was a little bit talk about Bliss is scared of getting a divorce, and that is one of her fears. But at the end of the day, this is a chance that you kind of take on this show, so you either go through with it or you don't. It's just about taking a chance, because you can't tell what happens in the future. So I kind of, with Bliss and Zach, is kind of hoping that they kind of say I do, because they actually do go together. I know there's still going to be that sticking point in terms of Bliss coming second. No matter how Zach spins it, that's how it's always going to come out. You chose Bliss second, because if things had worked out with Arena at the end of the day, Bliss would not be sitting where she is right now. Anyway, but as I say, all things happen for a reason. There's always a rhyme and a reason to things. So hopefully Zach will see this as his second chance in order to make things right with Bliss. I don't know what will happen by the time their wedding day comes. Kind of hoping that they'll both say yes, but all we can do is wait and see. So then we move on to Tiffany and Brett, meeting Brett's dad and brother. And I have to say that went really well. As I said, with these two, they are so well put together. They are just so well put together that they talk about things, they're able to be open, and they're able to actually show their love for one another to the family members. I would say in terms of Brett's dad, he's quite an eloquent speaking person, just like Brett is, and he went quite deep when he was talking to them, and you know what, he was dropping little gems. But then it's also on the flip side, as he said, he's never seen Brett this way, because they're not a family of emotional types in that sense, and they don't really like hug each other or talk about their emotions with each other. But I get the sense that the dad was quite happy with who he picked at the end of the day. And I would have to say that Brett did pick well. He very did pick well. Tiffany is a gorgeous black queen, and I am glad to see them together, and they need to be together. I will not, as I said before, I will not accept anything other than I do from these two. I'm sorry, because I swear down, if I don't see and I do, it's gonna, yeah. It will hurt me to my core, like to my core. Right, I shall calm, and we shall move on to the next bit. And then we see Michael and Paul. I'm not going to say that they're boring to me, but they kind of are boring. and that doesn't mean that they have to be arguing with each other in order to give a little spice or to do, like, go the extra mile. I'm not on about seeing that bit of them in that sense. I just really don't see them marrying each other at all. Because I think as time is going on, Paul is starting to have some feelings for Micah. But I don't think Micah's got those feelings for him. There's also the fact that Paul can be quite analytical in what he does. And that sometimes comes across in how he speaks. I don't necessarily think he means to do that. I think it's just like one of those habit-forming things due to how he thinks and speaks in terms of his science, or his scientific brain, I should say. Don't quote me on that, because that is not a normal terminology, but I'm just saying it anyway. And then we moved on to the Stag and Hens do. And I will have to say that they were absolutely rubbish. They weren't great. I think it was just for the producers to put them all together, to get them talking about their prospective others, to give them that bit of TV time, that bit of airtime in terms of what they're really thinking, especially when they're with their group of lads, or when they're with their group of girls, when they're with their friends. I did note that when Kwame was talking about his situation and he was talking to his friends, they brought up the subject of his mum again. As again, I've already stated, I really think he's going to use that as an excuse as to not marry Chelsea. And again, when they keep asking him, will you say yes? That man don't say nothing really. He just laughs. He just laughs. And I'm the type of person where I'm going to have to go by what the expression and the action that you're showing me. And what he's showing me is he is not going to marry Chelsea, and he will break Chelsea's heart on the altar. I can see it coming. If he actually says I do, you'll knock me over with a bleeding feather, because I would not have seen that coming in any way, shape or form. When Zach talks about Bliss, he literally sings her praises. They both sing each other's praises on where they are and how far they've come as a couple. As I said, I am still a bit sceptical. I am hoping that they actually say I do, because I think they do work well together, but I don't know how much Bliss will take what happened previously in regards to the arena and everything like that into play when she makes her decision. So either or, I'm not too sure about those two. With Brett and Tiffany, again, when they talk about each other, it's kind of like with Bliss and Zach. They just sing each other's attributes. I've never seen a couple gel and work so well together. And they actually actively listen and actively do for each other as well. So as you've already heard me, they need to be saying yes to each other. They need to say yes. They really do. Really do. Right. With Paul and Micah, as again, I don't see them gelling. I just really don't see how they gel with each other. It's kind of like, I know this is going to sound weird, but it's kind of like a brother-sister type or a friend type relationship. I don't see anything out of the ordinary with them either way, to be fair. I do know that, Micah at her hen do did FaceTime Paul. She was drunk. She was drunk as fuck. As you do, did the drunk FaceTiming. He couldn't hear a word she was bloody saying, to be honest with you. But the one thing that did annoy me was her friend. Because when her friend gets drunk, she starts with her rubbish as well in regards to Paul. But I have to give props to Micah, because she actually did stick up for herself to her friend. And she actually did stick up for Paul. And her friend then calmed her ass down, which she should have done at the end of the day. You said your piece already in the beginning. You didn't have to keep going on with it. So I'm glad that Micah shut that shit down pretty quickly, to be fair. And then we move on to Chelsea and Kwame's wedding day. I will be asking you what you thought of the whole procession and the whole day, to be fair. You could see that Chelsea was absolutely excited to be there. Absolutely excited to be there. Kwame, I still think had reservations. Definitely had reservations. It was nice to see Kwame's brother and sister come and turn up and be there for him. The fact that they told him actually that his dad was happy for him and sent him congratulations. His dad was happy for him. And they all said, Mum is going to be Mum. She's a Christian, she's well within the church and stuff like that, they were saying. And she will more than likely be saying her prayers for Kwame in that sense. And that's what they basically said to him. So they were having their chat, and then it was nice for Kwame's sister to actually go and see Chelsea and speak to her. Bearing in mind, Chelsea's not met anybody from Kwame's side. She's not met a friend. She's not met the brother or sister. Of course, she hasn't spoken to the dad, and she hasn't spoken to Kwame's mum. So in that sense, it was very one-sided for Chelsea, but it was nice to see his sister go over there, speak to Chelsea, and actually give her a gift as well. So then we get to the point where Kwame's waiting to go down, for his cue to go down the aisle before Chelsea comes, and he's standing there with his sister. And as you know, he's standing there. Yes, you can get a little bit nervous, but he was jittery as hell. Carl like proper jittery, and he kept on checking his watch for the time, and then his sister was talking and he was just going yeah like that. And I really, again, nothing instills me with the confidence that he is going to say yes to Chelsea. So as you do, they get down the aisle, they're both there together. Chelsea's reading her vows off the paper. Kwame decides to freeball it basically with his vows and what he wants to say. And you know, he's singing all her praises and everything like that. But it is kind of a tense situation, because then you're at the point of wondering what is it they're going to say to each other. And then it kind of ends on the fact that, you know, Chelsea then says I do, and then it ends on Kwame. It comes to Kwame. He hasn't said anything, so now we have to wait until, I think it's the 14th of April. Yeah, the 14th of April, to see what Kwame says, and then to see the follow-up wedding days for Paul and Micah, Bliss and Zach, and Brett and Tiffany. Now, all I'm saying from the clips that I've seen, looks like there's kind of something with Brett and Tiffany. And all I'm saying to these producers of this show, please don't fuck with Brett and Tiffany. Please don't do that to us. Don't do that to me. That's all I'm begging you. Please do not do that, because all I'm going to say is I suggest you don't.
Don't piss me off. I suggest you don't piss me off.
But then I want you to like, comment and subscribe, and peace out.